Welcome to Pattern Organization. This one happens to be featuring Southern Sky. This organization method will help with all ALeeB Creative patterns. Prefer doing it this way so that I can just pick up and work on a little bit at a time. I have a fabric planner in each of my patterns so that you can put swatches for your fabrics. It helps with organization, and anytime you've got fabrics that are kind of close together, you can sort of stay organized. All right, so to start organizing, I lay out my fabrics A, B, C, D, etc. I have already put swatches on my fabric planner. And here you see me prepping sticky notes so that I can number my blocks. And I just go ahead and kind of casually do that, set them aside. And I have my fabric planner for easy reference just to the side of my absolute travesty of a cutting station. If I'm being honest, it always looks like this. When I organize my projects, I put them in Ziploc bags that I have reused over and over and over again. So I do this same method for every one of my patterns, and it makes it super easy just to grab a portion of the project. I don't need to worry about figuring out where I left off. Um, I can just grab one block if that's all the time I have for that day. And you'll notice that I'm going through and picking out the pieces, and what you can't see is me referring to the pattern, which is over to my right. Um, the way that my patterns are laid out, I tell you exactly what pieces you need to have for any of the blocks. And so, for example, I'll tell you you need X number of 10-inch squares in fabric A, and so on and so forth. So it makes it real easy to organize your project before you even start. So I'm going through and just gathering each of the pieces for the block that I'm working on. And the last thing I do is put the sticky note in there labeling which block it is, and then I go ahead and set it aside and grab my next empty Ziploc bag so that I can do the next block. And this happens to be something I probably got on clearance. It was a set of Christmas holiday store brand Ziploc bags or what have you, and I'm sure I got it for, 50% off. But like I said, I reuse whatever I have. So um, in a pinch, I have been known to grab some out of the cupboard of, you know, actual stuff I would use, but I try just to use the same stuff over and over again, and I have the cheapest stuff possible, but it just helps me keep organized, and then I don't have to worry about it taking up too much space. I do love boxes for project organization, but they take up quite a bit of space, which I don't necessarily have, so bags work pretty well for me. One of the reasons that I love doing this so much is because in the case of having similar fabric colors, similar SKUs, um, anything that if you're looking at the whole collection of fabric, you might get a little confused by, because I know that though I do have the fabric planner there for your swatches, I know sometimes what happens, especially if you're working with boutiques or you're working with, for example, something that has a larger print, depending upon where you cut your swatch from, it might not be super clear which fabric you're actually needing. But if you have sort of pared down what you're looking at to only be the few SKUs that are being included in that block, it just makes it that much easier to make sure that you're not accidentally stitching the wrong thing, and hopefully will avoid some time with your friendly seam ripper. And you see there, I even had to go back and look at my um, fabric planner. I'm going to go ahead and speed the rest of this up so that you can see what I'm doing. It doesn't take that long depending upon how many fabrics you have, but I do find that it saves quite a bit of time and definitely my sanity when all is said and done. So I do really love this method, and that's why I organize my patterns the way that I do, so that it hopefully helps you work on them a little bit at a time in a much easier way. I think we are hitting the end. This looks like the border section, so this will be the last bag that I prep. It's going in order of the pattern, so that'll be just the last section that I put together. I do think that this organization method also helps you kind of go through the pattern in its entirety to get your bearings. I think that most designers put a little note in there about reading through the pattern before you start, but I think most of us, if we're being honest, say that we probably don't do that either. But it does help, and sometimes it can ward off any potential issues that you might encounter. And here you have everything ready, and I am ready to get started on this project.